If you have aging parents, you know this feeling all too well. There are these conversations you absolutely have to have about their health, their safety, their future, but you just have no idea how to even start without it blowing up into a fight. It's a tough spot to be in, but finding just the right words, well, it can change everything. So let's dive into this.
And that right there, that's really the heart of it all. As care manager Katie Darling puts it, the goal isn't to win an argument or to take control. It's about showing your parents that you're in their corner, that you're their teammate. This whole explainer is really built on that one idea, empathy, and how we can use it to build trust and keep those relationships strong.
All right, let's start with the big ones, the topics where the stakes feel the highest. We're going to talk about driving, living situations, and mobility aids. This is that really tricky territory where your concern for their safety can feel, to them, like a direct attack on their independence.
For so many of our parents, their car isn't just a machine to get from A to B. It's a huge symbol of their freedom, their self-reliance. So when you even bring up the idea of them stopping, what they often hear is that they're losing a massive piece of who they are. And that is a really profound loss.
And just look at the difference in this approach. Saying, "You're too old to drive," well, that's a judgment. It's an accusation, and it's going to put them on the defensive immediately. But asking, "Hey, I've noticed driving seems a little more stressful for you lately. Have you felt that too?" That's an observation. It's an invitation to talk, and it turns you from an adversary into a confidant.
And sometimes you don't have to be the bad guy. Social worker Sharon K. Brothers has this great tip. Bring in a neutral third party. Think about it. Their doctor, maybe a physical therapist. They can deliver the official medical recommendation, which lets you stay in the role of the supportive child. It's a total game changer for preserving your relationship.
Okay, here's another tricky one. For a lot of older adults, a walker isn't just a helpful tool. It's a billboard that says, "I'm old." They fight it because they think it makes them look frail, and let's be honest, nobody wants to feel that way.
So the key here is all about shifting the focus. An order like, "You need to use a walker," just feels controlling, right? But when you frame it around your own feelings, "I'm worried you might fall," it connects that walker to a goal you both share, preventing a bad injury. And just like that, you're not talking about them being old, you're talking about them being safe. Man, for a parent who has lived in their own home for decades, the idea that they shouldn't live there alone anymore can feel like a threat to their entire world. We're talking about their independence, their memories, their control over their own life. It's a huge deal. And this is where using I statements is just so powerful. A final verdict, like "you shouldn't live alone anymore," just shuts the conversation down. But when you express your own personal fear, "I'm worried that if something happened, no one would be there to help," it opens the door to finding solutions together. Maybe the answer is an alert system, maybe it's friends checking in. The whole dynamic shifts from a fight to a team project.
Okay, so those big conversations are absolutely critical. But let's be real, the true test of our patience often comes in the small day-to-day moments. So now, let's shift gears and talk about those daily frustrations that can wear anybody down and how we can flip them into moments of actual connection. Oh, we've all been here. You hear the start of that story about their first car for what feels like the 100th time this month, and you just feel yourself sigh on the inside. It's frustrating, for sure. But for them, that story might be a lifeline to a happy memory, or just a way they feel connected and heard.
So instead of shutting them down, social worker Chris Shane suggests this brilliant move. Use their story as a launching pad. By asking a related leading question, you're saying, "I hear you," and you're gently steering the conversation somewhere new. And hey, who knows? You might just learn a piece of family history you've never heard before.
This one can be so draining. Listening to a nonstop loop of aches and pains and doctor's visits can really take a toll on your own spirit. But for many older adults, this is their daily reality, and talking about it is just how they process what they're going through.
So how do you deal with it? Well, social worker Sharon K. Brothers has a super simple 3-step method. First, just listen. Give them a couple of minutes to vent. Second, empathize. A simple, "Gosh, I'm sorry you're dealing with that," shows you care. And third, gently redirect. Pivot to something positive. This makes them feel heard, but it also protects your own energy. All right, in our final section, we're going to focus on the really subtle stuff. We're talking about those small, everyday interactions where our choice of words can either build up our parents' dignity or slowly tear it down. It is so easy to react with frustration here. You probably took time off work, you're worried about their health, and now they missed it. The first impulse is to scold them, right? But that can backfire, big time. Treating an adult like a child is just It's demeaning. So instead of scolding, get curious. The missed appointment might have nothing to do with being forgetful. It could be about being scared. Scared of getting bad news. By asking a gentle question, you're trying to understand the real problem, not just punish the behavior.
And here's why that approach is so critical. As registered nurse Terry Dreyer points out, scolding doesn't actually solve anything. It just creates new problems. It shatters trust, and pretty soon your parent might start forgetting to tell you important things just to avoid being treated that way. The long-term damage just isn't worth it. I know, this seems so small, doesn't it? An argument over a jacket, but a lot of the time these little fights are actually about something much bigger. They're about autonomy and control. They just want to make their own choices, even if those choices seem a little strange to us.
And here's a little bit of science for you. Our ability to regulate body temperature actually changes as we get older. So they might genuinely feel colder than you do. So instead of giving a command, validate their feeling while offering a choice. How about this lighter jacket? It respects their autonomy but still guides them to a practical solution. It's a total win-win.
So whether we're talking about car keys or jackets, you can see the same core principles keep popping up. The real goal here isn't to memorize a bunch of phrases. It's about developing a new mindset, a truly empathetic approach that can completely transform every single conversation you have.
When you boil it all down, it comes back to this. It's not about being right, it's about staying connected. It's not about taking control, it's about collaborating. Every time you talk to them, try to lead with empathy. Remember that your tone of voice can completely cancel out the best words. And always, always keep your eye on the prize, your shared goal of making sure they're safe and well. And that really brings us to the end. The real takeaway here isn't just knowing these ideas, it's actually trying them. So think about it for a second. What's one conversation, one little frustrating habit, one tough topic that you can try to approach with a little more empathy this week? Because changing just that one interaction could be the first step to changing your entire relationship for the better.